What's going on, YouTube? Who says a mainstream vehicle can't be both stylish and luxurious? Well, sitting behind me is a vehicle that has always challenged that concept. Ever since it was first introduced in 2002, it has brought loads of style and luxury to mainstream consumers. And for 2025, Nissan is finally giving us an all-new generation Murano. So does this new Murano make it pointless to buy an Infiniti? Let's go ahead and find out. Now, before we get started with this review, I do want to point out I'm just outside of Nashville, Tennessee today, and unfortunately Drew wasn't able to join me, so we will be filming in a first-person POV. But let's go ahead and check out the exterior. So like I said at the introduction, the Murano nameplate has always been known to have a lot of style and also a lot of luxury for a mainstream vehicle. And Nissan certainly is staying true to that for 2025. However, you'll see that we do have a very modern interpretation of that style. Now, before I even really talk about the front end design, I want to point out that this vehicle is about 3 inches wider than before. And of course, you can definitely see that here in person. It looks very wide and low to the ground, giving you that sporty aesthetic. And then as we check out the front end, you're going to notice that we have a very interesting interpretation of the V-Motion grille. As you can see, it actually goes pretty much from corner to corner of the vehicle and actually integrates the lighting inside. Additionally, up here at the top, we have a blacked out piece with Murano spelled out across the top. So you're certainly going to have a very different look than really any other Nissan crossover on the market. Now, speaking of the lighting, let's talk about that. We do have standard ultra-thin cube LED headlights on all versions of the Murano, which, by the way, is available in 3 trim levels, just like before: SV, SL, and Platinum. What you're looking at today is the fully loaded Platinum model. Now, as we drop down to the lower piece, this is where you're going to have your turn signal indicator as well as your daytime running lights, which do integrate in very nicely with the grille. Now, all of your lower panels will be finished in a body color for that sporty look. Now, no redesign would be complete without different wheel options, and I'm happy to tell you that for this stylish SUV, you're going to get new stylish wheels. So previously on the Murano, it topped out at a 20-inch setup. However, what you're looking at right now is actually a 21-inch alloy wheel. This is going to be standard on the top-end Platinum model. The other 2 trim levels will come standard with a 20-inch setup. Now, the unique thing about this is that this is actually a mixture of an aluminum alloy as well as an aero cover. So it has a very distinct look to it here in person, almost kind of like the all-electric Aria. Now, all of our wheel surrounds will be finished in a nice body color. And then as we head up to the mirrors, we have a gloss black finish. You're going to have standard heating blind spot monitoring. Additionally, if you want power folding, that's going to be included on the Platinum. And now that I've backed up to the side of the all-new Murano, you're going to see that it does, of course, have a very sleek overall look to it. As far as vehicle length, it's about 192.9 inches long, which actually makes it very similar to the outgoing generation. And it's about 10 inches longer than a Rogue for reference and about 6 inches shorter than a Pathfinder. Now, as far as some of the design elements, you will notice that we have kind of a sweeping roof line that goes into the rear. Additionally, new to the Murano this year, you have the option of getting a 2-tone roof, although we don't have it on this particular tester. Now, as we head around to the back of the Murano, you'll notice that we once again see a very sleek overall design. And you know what these taillights remind me of? I was thinking about this a little bit off camera. These taillights look very similar to what you're going to find on the all-new QX80. So that's certainly a good compliment because that vehicle is a lot more expensive than this. You have a nice clear finish going through here, and you're also going to have a full LED setup. That's standard on every single version, so that includes your brake light as well as your turn signal indicator and reverse light. And then dropping down, you'll see Murano is prominently spelled out across the back, and we do have a really nicely sloped rear glass with a hidden wiper underneath of the spoiler. Now, as far as the lower fascia, this is going to be a mixture of kind of a grayish trim as well as a gloss black. All Muranos are rated to tow 1,500 pounds. But even though this is a stylish SUV, you want it to have all of your safety systems, and Nissan knows that, so they are including every single one of those as standard equipment for this all-new Murano. That's even going to include things like standard ProPilot Assist. Now, I do want to point out, if you choose the SL or Platinum, that's going to upgrade you to ProPilot Assist 1.1, which is a little bit more advanced than the standard version of ProPilot. However, you're not going to have the newest 2.1 system that allows for some hands-free driving, so be aware of that. But guys, I think you're going to be very impressed by what Nissan has put on the inside. So let's go ahead and dive into that. But first,
if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We may be young, but we love cars.
And we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot, have some fun with all the latest cars.
so let's go ahead and check out the luxurious interior. Now, as far as your key fob, it's just your standard Nissan key fob with their signature design. You have standard smart entry as well as standard remote start. However, there was no mention of a digital key system being offered. And then as we approach the vehicle, there's not a sensor behind the handle, so you will have to press the button. When you do that, it will actually fold out your mirrors. But let's take a second to look inside this new Murano. Gone is the current generation from anyone's mind, because this certainly has stepped into modern times with this new Murano. And we're also going to have loads of luxury. And I think really a great place to start that discussion out would be with our seats. So as you can see, we have beautifully crafted seats here on this model. You're going to actually have a standard leatherette seat. However, when you upgrade to this platinum grade, that's where you're going to get this quilted semi-aniline leather seat. This thing feels absolutely very supple and premium. It reminds me very much of an Infiniti seat. And then we're also going to have the two-tone finish up here in the upper part. It's kind of finished in like a brown color, and then this is a gray. Nissan said that there's going to be 3 available interior color options inspired by the California sunset. So I guess this is one of them right here. There will be a couple other choices as well. Now, as we drop down to the seat adjustments themselves, they will be 8-way power adjusting on every single Murano. However, when you step up to the upper end models, you're going to get the 4-way lumbar support instead of 2-way. Additionally, if you choose the platinum grade, you're going to get this right here. This button controls the power massage for both the driver and the passenger. Certainly that's a rare feature to see in this segment of vehicle, and a very premium touch that we see drop down from things like Infiniti. Now, as we look over here on the door trim, you're going to have memory seats on SL and Platinum, but let's go ahead and hop inside. And getting inside is kind of a mixture of different feelings. For sure, it has a very techie vibe to this cabin, but it also has a very luxurious vibe. So let's talk about interior materials. So over here on the door trim, we do have a nice leatherette going through this part as well as the middle section. We're going to have, looks like a faux aluminum trim right through here. All of the upper door trim is going to be finished in a nice brown leatherette as well. And then we have this same leatherette that goes all through here. You also have a nice leatherette covering above your digital systems here. And then it goes all the way to the passenger side, giving you that nice premium look. Now, this is also a unique trim piecing called Murano Glass. So what this does is actually have different lights inside of the vehicle to give you a little bit more of that futuristic interior vibe. So that's going to definitely be quite nice. And then down below that, we have kind of a faux wood trim going through here, and that even intersects with stuff like your climate controls. All the center tunnel is going to be finished in a nice leatherette as well. So overall, I honestly do think that this cabin is just as nice as most Infiniti products, especially stuff like the QX50. I think it honestly feels just about as nice. But let's go ahead and start it up with the standard push button start. Noticing we have a little bit of a new sound effect there, and don't be too concerned. This is a pre-production model, so the screens are a little bit slow on this, so do keep that in mind. It is pre-production, and I'm sure Nissan will work out any of the kinks that they haven't already. Now let's go ahead and dive into the interior technology. Now this is probably going to be the most radical change over the previous generation of Murano, because certainly it was starting to get a little long in the tooth when it came to the technology department. We're now going to replace the 7-inch gauge cluster from the previous generation with a full 12.3-inch digital cluster, and that's going to be standard on every single version of the Murano. It has a lot of customizability. We've experienced this in a couple other new Nissan products, and I'm very happy with the resolution here in person. Now, additionally, if you choose the Platinum grade, that will give you the head-up display, as you see in the windshield right there. And then as we head to the steering wheel, we're going to have a really nice, leather-wrapped steering wheel. It is actually going to be a 2-spoke design, so that's a little bit interesting. It's just connected here on the sides. Off to the side, we have some touch capacitive buttons through here. They do actually click, so that's certainly nice. It is not going to be hard to control while you're driving. And then you do also have this little roller knob on the side. Now, we also have rain sensing wipers here on this Platinum grade, as well as a power tilt and telescoping steering wheel. That's a nice premium feature that you wouldn't really expect to find, in addition to heating, which is controlled right here with this button. But guys, let's go ahead and dive into interior storage, because I think you're going to be very pleasantly surprised with what the new Murano has. Now, if we open up the center console, we're going to have a really large and deep one. It's not going to be felt lined, but you can definitely put a lot of things inside of here. If we shut that up, you'll notice another little cubby in front of that. You have 2 cup holders and a wireless phone charging pad. It's a nice big wireless phone charging pad as well. 2 USB-C ports. But that's not all. We actually have a new floating center console. So look at how much space that is. That is absolutely massive. You can pretty much fit anything you're going to need. A purse, a diaper bag, any essentials that you want to just keep out of the way, you can put underneath of here. So that's certainly a nice new feature. And why is that possible? Well, that's possible because we have an electronic style shifter. This is the new push button design that Nissan is doing in some of their newer products. So you just press the D for drive, once more for manual mode, and then if we go into reverse, you're going to see a new 360 camera. Of course, the resolution is a lot better on this new Murano, and this is actually going to be standard on SL grades and above. There's additionally going to be a couple new features for the Murano. One of those features is the 3D view. You can kind of see it grayed out right there. I'm not sure if it's just because this is a pre-production unit or whatnot, but you do have a 3D spin that will allow you to go all the way around the vehicle in a nice way, just like you've seen on flagship Infiniti products. And you have a new invisible hood view as well, which will allow you to kind of see through the front of the vehicle. Super cool stuff on this Murano. Additionally, you're going to keep the moving object detection that you had before, and you'll see over here on the gauge cluster that you do have front and rear parking sensors, which are standard on every single Murano. Now, in order to go into park, just press the P. Back behind that, you have your auto start stop defeat button, a manual button for your camera, and then you also have your drive mode controller. Now, moving up from that, we have this new touch capacitive climate panel. That's to control the standard dual zone automatic setup that you're going to have on all versions of the Murano. So you can adjust the temperature really easily just by pressing that button right there. That allows for really easy adjustment. You know, normally I'm not a fan of touch capacitive setups, but I think this one actually looks really cool, integrated into like the wood trim. And it's also not that hard to use. Now, as far as your heated seat controls, those are actually going to be exclusively in the display. There's not a button for it, so you have to go up in here and then press that. That will allow you to turn on your heated seats, which are standard equipment on all versions of the Murano. Ventilated seats are included when you choose the Platinum grade. And down below that, you'll notice that we have a physical volume knob. So thankfully that's not went touch capacitive. And that's to control 2 different audio systems. So you have a standard 6-speaker setup, or if you choose the SL and Platinum grades, you will have a Bose 10-speaker sound system. As you can see, you have the branding right there and several different speakers in the door trim. Unfortunately, I am on a little bit of a time constraint today, so I'm not going to be able to like pair my phone and give you an audio sample, but stay tuned for a full review of this Murano coming in December. So it won't be too much longer, and you'll have that full in-depth review that you've been waiting for. Now moving on from that, let's talk about our displays. We have a 12.3-inch display, and that's going to be standard on every version of the Murano in addition to this 12.3-inch setup. So it's a nice dual screen design. Now, the software is not the same, so do be aware of that. So on the SV, you're going to get a more basic version of Nissan Connect. You will still have wireless CarPlay and wireless Android Auto, but it's not until you get to the SL or Platinum trim levels that you get the most up-to-date software with Google built in. So as you can see, this has the really nice performance on board, lots of cool graphics, and you're going to have really nice things such as Google Maps. I think that's a pretty big deal, so I would probably recommend getting at least an SL trim level so you can have the Google built in. But both versions will have the wireless CarPlay and Android Auto abilities, so you don't have to be too concerned about that. Now moving up, we have an auto-dimming interior mirror. That's going to be standard on SL and Platinum, and the HomeLink garage door openers will be Platinum exclusive. And as far as the moonroof itself, you will notice that we have a panoramic setup. That's going to be standard on SL and Platinum grades, and I do not believe a standard size setup is offered. But let's go ahead and dive into the rear seat area of this new Murano. So let's get into the back seats of this Murano. Now, I am noticing that the door opens quite nice and wide, and let's just go ahead and take a quick look inside. As you can see, it looks like a very nice and premium space. And as far as your legroom figures, you're going to be sitting at about 36 inches of legroom, which is actually down about 2 inches over the previous generation. And the headroom figure is also going to be less than the Rogue. So when you move to the Murano, the interesting thing about it is that even though this vehicle is a lot longer than something like a Rogue, because of that sleek design, you're going to compromise just a little bit when it comes to space. But I'm sitting back here. I'm 5'9" for reference, if you didn't already know. And this seat is adjusted to pretty much what my driving position would be. And look at how much space I have. I don't think you have to be concerned about those legroom figures, because here in person, it actually seems like there's a lot more space than what Nissan is claiming. We'll put that to the test when we have our official ruler measurement later on. And I can also, and I actually cannot recline the rear seats, so do be aware of that. And then here's your full interior view. As we drop down to the center section, we do have vents as standard equipment, 2 USB ports as well. When we choose the Platinum grade, that's going to get you heated rear seats. However, vented seats are not available. Speaking of the seats themselves, they are quite comfortable, and I'm happy to tell you that they do still keep the two-tone design with a nice quilted semi-aniline leather. If I fold down the center armrest, I have 2 cup holders inside. Little storage cubby right there. And then you're probably also noticing that we do have rear window sunshades. That's a nice feature to be included. That's actually something that the new Armada does not include. Now let's check out the cargo area. In order to get back here, you just press this button right here. That's going to open up the power tailgate. A power tailgate's actually standard equipment on all versions of the Murano. If you want the kickability, that will be included here on the Platinum. Now, let's discuss overall cargo space. So just like the rear seat area, we actually do see a little bit of a reduction in overall cargo space this year compared to the previous model, but it's not by much. 33 cubic feet is what you can expect behind the second row of seats. If we fold those seats down, which we can easily do with these little levers off to the side, they fold 60-40 split. That is going to give you a maximum of 63 cubic feet. It's worth noting that is going to be less than the Nissan Rogue. So once again, just like I said in the second row, you are going to be sacrificing a little bit of practicality for that additional design on the outside. That is pretty much expected. As far as some of the competition, that will be still a little bit less than some of the competition, such as the Hyundai Santa Fe. Now, as far as features, if we lift up the floor, we don't have a spare tire on this particular model. However, it is an available option on the Murano. And overall, it seems like it's a good amount of cargo length. However, the height will be a little bit more shallow than you might expect. But think there's some big news under the hood, so let's go ahead and dive into that. So what is the big news under the hood? Well, I'd say there's a couple big news elements when it comes to what's under the hood. Now, you're probably looking at one of those right now, the fact that it says VC Turbo. That's your indication that we no longer have the V6 of the previous generation Murano, and instead we've moved to a 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder engine. Of course, it's the VC Turbo setup. It's going to be making 241 horsepower and 260 pound-feet of torque. Now, it's worth noting that's about 20 less horsepower, but you're going to get about 20 pound-feet more of torque, which means in overall performance, I would expect this all-new Murano to perform very similar to the outgoing model when it comes to acceleration. However, the second piece to the powertrain that I'm very happy to tell you about is the fact that we've moved away from a CVT and we now have a conventional 9-speed automatic transmission. Thank you, Nissan. I saw this a ton of times in the comments. People want the traditional automatic transmission, and we now have that on board with this Murano. Now, you do have standard front-wheel drive on the SV trim level. If you choose the SL or Platinum, that will be all-wheel drive as standard equipment. We have no official fuel economy ratings for this model just yet. However, the outgoing Murano came in at 23 mpg combined. I see no reason why this one would do worse. And if you compare it to a similar vehicle with a similar powertrain setup, such as the Infiniti QX50, that's coming in about 25 or 26 mpg. So that would be more of what I would expect out of this Murano, which would be about a 3 mpg improvement. Now, of course, we can't wait to drive this new Murano. We will be doing that in December, so you only have to wait just about a month and a half more if you want to see us drive this new Murano. We're definitely excited to show you what this new powertrain is like out on the road, as well as different things such as how it rides, as well as how quiet the cabin is. That's something that we test out in all of our Car Confections reviews, is our sound level reading, and we look forward to getting that in this new Murano. So if you're interested, do yourself a favor and go ahead and subscribe, because you'll want to see our content that's coming soon on this model. Now, it's worth noting, we also do not have any pricing information just yet for the new Murano. Nissan will release that as the vehicle goes closer to being on sale. And by the way, when this vehicle is expected to go on sale is early 2025. So it won't be too much longer, and you'll be seeing these Muranos show up at dealership showrooms. If you're looking to buy a Nissan Murano or any new vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. Now, the reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation. If you'd like to take advantage of that, a link is provided in our video description, and we also have a pinned comment at the top of this video. And guys, that's going to be where we leave off on this in-depth first look review of the all-new 2025 Nissan Murano. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, we'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you're going to tell Nissan that this first look review was important to you, and also give us more opportunities to get the latest cars on the market. So go ahead and do that if you haven't already. If you're already a fan and subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.